We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Evan Gershkovich returns home. Lots of news from the Olympics, a bad day on Wall Street, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan were released Thursday by Russia as part of a major multinational swap of 24 prisoners. The Russian-American journalist Alsu Kamasheva and British-Russian activist Vladimir Kara-Murza also were freed as part of the swap. All four have been imprisoned unjustly in Russia, President Joe Biden said in a televised address from the White House where he was flanked by their family members. In all, 16 American and German nationals held prisoner in Russia and Belarus were released in exchange for the release of 8 Russians. The deal hinged on the release of convicted Russian assassin Vadim Krasikov, who murdered a Chechen dissident in Berlin in 2019. President Biden called the exchange a feat of diplomacy and promised to continue working to secure the release of Americans held hostage around the world. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said anti-Putin activist Alexei Navalny was supposed to be part of the swap before his sudden death in a Russian prison in February. Italian boxer Angela Carini pulled out of the Paris Olympics mid-fight on Thursday after she sustained a series of crushing blows from her Algerian opponent, Imane Kaif, a male who identifies as female and who last year failed a gender eligibility test at the World Championships. Kaif, whose participation in the Games was permitted by the IOC and has divided boxers, landed multiple punches in the first 30 seconds before a powerful right to Carini's nose prompted the Italian to raise her hand and return to her corner. Her coach signaled she was withdrawing from the women's welterweight round of 16 bout. A distraught Carini fell to her knees in the ring, sobbing and declining to shake Kaif's hand after the referee declared the male the winner. Both the White House and Kamala Harris's campaign were silent when contacted for comment Thursday morning about whether they support biologically male, intersex, or trans athletes competing against biological females at the Olympics. The Trump campaign, meanwhile, quickly slammed the notion as uproar surrounds the Algerian fighter caught in the middle of this gender eligibility controversy. Katie Ledecky is now officially the greatest of all time of women's swimming. The 27-year-old won her 13th Olympic medal in the women's 4x200-meter freestyle relay, becoming the only woman ever to reach that mark. Ledecky tied the record previously held jointly by Jenny Thompson, Emma McKeon, and Dara Torres with her gold medal in the 1500-meter on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Simone Biles is once again on top. The now 9-time Olympic medalist kept her 11-year all-around winning streak alive by winning yet another gold medal in Thursday's all-around competition at the Paris Olympics. Biles is now the first woman since 1968 to win 2 Olympic all-around titles. Although Biles withdrew from the all-around in Tokyo due to the twisties, she won gold in dominant fashion at the 2016 Rio Olympics. A strong performance on beam and floor saw her reclaim her lead and prove once again why she is the greatest gymnast of all time. The number of Americans who applied for unemployment benefits last week jumped to a nearly one-year high of 249,000, but most of the increase was tied to annual auto plant shutdowns and Hurricane Beryl. New claims rose by 14,000 in the 7 days that ended July 27th from 235,000 in the prior week, according to the government data. Economists polled by the Wall Street Journal had forecast new claims to total 235,000 based on seasonally adjusted figures. Stocks sold off Thursday, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average tumbling nearly 500 points as investors' fears over a recession surfaced. The Dow dropped 494.82 points, or 1.21%, to end at 40,347.97. At its session lows, the 30-stock index lost 744.22 points, or about 1.8%. The S&P 500 shed 1.37% to end at 5,446.68, while the Nasdaq Composite slipped 2.3% to 17,194.15. The Russell 2000 index, the small cap benchmark that has rallied lately, dropped 3%. Some fresh data stoked fears over a possible recession and the notion that the Federal Reserve could be too late to start cutting interest rates. Aside from the initial jobless claims, the ISM Manufacturing Index, a barometer of factory activity in the U.S., came in at 46.8%, worse than expected, and a signal of economic contraction. After these releases, the 10-year Treasury yield dropped below 4% for the first time since February. Intel shares slid as much as 17% in extended trading on Thursday after the chipmaker said it would lay off over 15% of its employees as part of a $10 billion cost reduction plan and reported lighter results than analysts had envisioned. The company also said it would not pay its dividend in the fiscal fourth quarter of 2024 and that it will lower full-year capital expenditures by over 20%. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.